You know, I kind of hit the scene in 2009,
Yeah.
and we were in a global economy meltdown.
Right.
And we were living off of a frothy 2000 to 2007, 8, and I thought that people were underestimating work ethic. And so yes, hustle was something that I was articulating as a foundation of my success. But I only think one should work a lot if they genuinely enjoy it.
Right.
You know, or they have to provide for their family and they're working 2 jobs and it's almost the extreme in the other way.
Yeah.
I'd like to do a better job over the next decade to make sure that my primary message is happiness.
Right.
I mean that.
Right.
That being said, in the extreme overcorrection where people have started branding things like hustle porn or things of that nature, hard work is part of the equation.
Yeah.
But yes, I think burnout or mental anguish is something I'm very scared of. But I do not believe that comes from, I think a lot of people put hard work as the gateway to that issue. I actually think that that is insecurity and lack of self-esteem that leads to that anguish.
So my follow-up question with that comment is quite simply, there is quite an interest, and it's a very popular thing, it's the cool thing to do, become an entrepreneur.
Ugh.
Right? Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur.
100%.
Like when I was at this event where you spoke, there's about 5,000 people, and I can see everyone wants to be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Do you think there's a danger?
Yes.
Because not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. Okay, so how do you tell somebody that they've been hustling as hard as they can, but something's not working out? How does one figure out when to give up?
I ask them if they're happy.
Right.
You know, like if you're hustling your podcast and through sheer will, through live events and pre-roll advertisers, and you're making $42,000 a year, if that's more fun and you're happier than making $78,000 being, an accountant, then I try to encourage that person to live the lifestyle of a 42,000 year person versus a 78,000 year person. I think that I think we have to define our own success, and I think doing what you want to be doing is the ultimate.
Right.
Now,
there's a practical application of you gotta look after a family.
Yes,
you gotta do all these kind of things, right?
That's a modern mistake in that people usually spend more than they make. There's a lot of immigrants who take care of their family making $35,000 a year. The problem is there's a lot of people who make $200,000 a year and live like they're making $300,000 a year because they want to keep up with the Joneses and they want stuff.
Right. Yeah, I know.
I mean, you can live a lot of ways.
That's one way to be.
Family, I once lived 2 years with my great-grandparents and my grandparents and my parents in a home. You could do that.
Yeah.
Especially 25-year-olds who are complaining, go live with 7 of your buddies in a shit place. I'm fascinated by people's misunderstanding of it's not how much you make, it's how much you spend.
Yeah.
Of course, if you take fucking Uber and order out every night and need the freshest fucking flyest, flexiest clothes, you're gonna need a fuckload of money.
Yeah.
Why not take the train?
Right.
Why not live in a shitty spot? Why not cook every night? People are fucking entitled.
Yeah, no, I get it. Okay, so this leads into the economy, which is that we operate in. It's capitalism. It's the economic system.
Yes. Is
capitalism a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. That's above my pay grade. Meaning, here's what I mean by that.
Right.
I've spent very little time understanding the macro global economic impact of capitalism versus viable other options. I can tell you that communism is not good.
I agree.
Because I lived in it. Let me rephrase, I left early. I understand it through the eyes of my parents and relatives, and I think it suppresses the natural human. I think extreme capitalism that concentrates wealth to a small group is bad, because I think that leads to the French Revolution and heads start rolling.
Yeah, right.
So I think capitalism, I think anything in life is good when it's balanced.
Yeah.
I think modern capitalism is showing strains of vulnerability because there's too much consolidation of wealth to too small of a group. which I always think is a vulnerability.
You know, there's lots of business mentors or people who's proved, tell people how to make money. When they say things like, you know, by any means necessary.
Yeah.
You know, get rich or die trying.
Yeah, I don't like that shit.
How do you, you know, it can be very appealing. You know, you watch some of these videos, as you put it, it's very, very enticing, and people sort of get drawn to that. How does one look beyond the sort of the...
Pay attention to what the person's asking for from you.
Right.
I always tell youngsters and friends, you have to look in the eyes of the messenger. What is she or he looking for from you? I'm looking for admiration.
Okay.
My content is not a top of the funnel to some landing page that is asking you for $899 for my ebook.
Why is admiration important to you?
I'm not sure. It's something that I'm spending a lot of time on. It feels naturally good.
Right.
I think it's a DNA trait.
Right. Okay.
But I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm sure it inherently is, you know, if I go deep, I think about things like, man, my family was going through a ton of shit the first 5 years of my life. You know, maybe they were so focused on everything, like getting to the new world, that maybe I was looking, but I got over coddled and loved too. Like, I'm not sure, but I promise you that I want admiration over money.
Right.
That has become very clear to me. I'm not against money.
Sure.
But if I was to choose, like, my ability to have the biggest mastermind, the biggest funnel, the biggest fund, give me some of your money, I could win that game at the highest level. Number one, more than anyone.
Sure.
Because I have gift of conversation.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm charismatic as fuck. It's the
and
truth.
self-aware, obviously.
Clearly. So I'm not sure,
Right.
but when I hear what you're talking about, if the next sentence of, you know, make money, die trying, if the next sentence is, and if you pay me, then I'm already checked the fuck out.
Yeah, right. So, how do you get out of the mindset? And I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs do this, where you start doing something and you're not really sure about it, but it starts making money, and then you make excuses. You may be doing something ethically and morally questionable, but you convince yourself, right? How do you get out of that?
I see it every day.
You know, what would you say to somebody like, you know what you're doing? Because we are very good at convincing ourselves, look, you know, at the end of the day, this is paying for this is paying for this, I'm just gonna do it for a short time. Many reasons, but people sort of keep doing that. Because I know people who...
Oh, I know unlimited people who do this.
Right.
This is a very good question by you. Look, the answer is that person is flawed.
Right.
The question is why?
Why?
My belief is it's because they're insecure and they need stuff to make themselves feel good, to show others that they're successful, because they're not happy with themselves.
Yeah, right.
And they need jewelry and success and cars and girls and planes to show everybody that they're winning, because they're not winning with themselves.
How would you respond to somebody if they were to say capitalism is just evil and it's ultimately geared to fail?
My intuition when I hear somebody go that extreme is that they are deeply ideological and deeply entitled and have an undertone of laziness.
What do you mean entitled?
They expect the fucking government or somebody else who's working hard to pay for some of their subsidies. That's what I mean. If they say it's inherently evil and will fail.
Right.
If someone says capitalism, like any system, has its shortcomings and should be audited in its current state, I would say that that's somebody who's being thoughtful.